Hello, YouTube. It is my solemn duty to analyze the unfortunate events that happen in the lives of the Baudelaire children. Okay, I'm not going to be doing that throughout this whole video, but let's talk about a series of unfortunate events. A book series I never read, nor knew about, until I heard about on Top 5, and then saw this show. So, until that happened, I had no idea that these books existed. So, yeah. Can't really see this show through a fan's eyes. And honestly, I didn't really like it. I know that a lot of people did, but I just really couldn't get into it. But I'll go into more detail about that later. So, what's the show about? Well, the Baudelaires pretty much are just three kids. Violet, Klaus, and Sunny, who's voiced by Tara Strong. Because it's hard to get a baby to make baby noises, I guess. So you need a voice actress to do this. Although it's Tara Strong, so I really don't mind. So, pretty much, their family's house burns down and everything that they owned is destroyed, and they are left penniless. The show opened up by saying it would be kind of depressing. So, yeah, that happens, and then they are sent to go live with people who constantly remind them that, hey, your parents are dead, and that you're orphans, and you can never see your parents again. Yeah. Good for you guys. Seriously, they say that while smiling. Why are they such a-holes? Seriously, that's never explained. It's just that they're awful people. But they're sent to go live with a banker for a little bit until he can work out all the legal procedure for getting them to live with their new guardian. And one of his kids is named Edgar Poe. Subtle. So, yeah, they're eventually sent to go live with Count Olaf, who is a little bit worse than the people who just openly say your parents are dead and give 3 kids one bed to sleep on. No, he gives 3 kids one bed to sleep on, makes them do chores that would pretty much take up their whole entire day, and also barely ever feeds them. In fact, he wants them to feed him. Kind of the opposite of how things normally work, but okay. And he even gives one of them a pile of rocks as a bed, and even kidnaps one, and even locks one in a cage over like a 2 or 3 story house. So then he can just threaten them because he wants to marry one of them, the oldest one, Violet, because when she comes of an age, then she can inherit her family's fortune. Or she can get married, but she's not of the legal age. She's only 14. But he's her legal guardian, so therefore he can just allow her to do things, like get married, because that's how the law works. But, yeah, eventually they do stop this incredibly, needlessly complicated plan by legal procedure. The show is for kids, so I'm sure that a lot of kids were really fascinated by the inner workings of legal and marriage procedures. They really must have been. So, yeah, eventually they're sent away from Count Olaf, and he's supposed to be locked in jail, but he leaves. He just leaves. No way to stop him. Like, there is no security on this building at all, apparently. So, yeah, you know, I mean, just no one goes after him. Like, why would you even want to stop this guy who is trying to steal money from orphans? And just so you know, he doesn't stop here. So, yeah, after that little thing of him not actually being related to them, and also, you know, trying to steal their fortune and threatening to kill one of them, all things that mean that the police won't go after him at all. So, yeah, after those little things happen, you know, they're sent to someone else, Montgomery, who's a scientist who specializes in reptiles. So, yeah, he's also part of some secret agency thing. But he seems like a really good guardian. But he's kind of an idiot. He lets in Count Olaf. But, you know, I mean, he's just playing along. He even tells him that, and he doesn't realize it's Count Olaf. What? So, even when they tell him directly that that's Count Olaf, he's like, nah, it's just a guy from a rival secret agency that I'm a part of. Oh, by the way, I'm a part of a secret agency thing that's going on, which is a minor subplot going on. Yes, there is a minor secret agency thing subplot going on, which honestly I was more interested in, but I think that's kind of the point of it. So, yeah, eventually they get taken out of his care too, due to the minor little thing of, you know, Montgomery's killed by Count Olaf, the clearly extremely dangerous man. Not really. Just sort of a bad actor with a stage crew that thinks that he's pretty much very dangerous. Really, he's not that dangerous at all. So, yeah, pretty much he kills him. And then the next part of that episode is them trying to find out how this man died. Without actually, you know, listening to the kids, because they're kids. Yeah, I mean, they figured out how to stop Count Olaf's plan, know a lot about legal procedure. One of them's an amazing inventor. One of them is incredibly intelligent. Actually, they both are. But, you know, I mean, they're kids. Can't listen to anything they have to say. You know, I mean, if they're actually figuring out stuff before the adults are, then clearly they're morons. Don't listen to a thing that they say. Seriously, I hated that. I want to say, you know, that never stops. All throughout the series, they're just saying that. It's really, really annoying. But, yeah, pretty much they eventually do prove to the people that, you know, I mean, they might be frauds. Go figure. So, yeah, eventually they get away from him, and Count Olaf is stopped again, but he escapes again, because seriously, no one's actually going after this guy. He just murdered someone! And yet again, no one is putting out any police investigation on this guy. You know, I mean, he just did that little thing of murdering people, and also, you know, trying to kill some kids, and trying to steal their money, but clearly that's not enough to actually send out any police after him. We should just wait until he starts going into terrorism and rape before we actually send out any police officers after this man. Seriously, what? But yeah, they're sent to another guardian. This one has the most unstable house ever. It is literally a house at the edge of a cliff with like a 100-foot drop that is being held up by wood. Like, not even like a very sturdy wood frame or anything. No, it's just sticks, really. It's actually kind of a miracle that they can even walk into the back without it falling down. I mean, eventually it does fall down, go figure, but still, it's kind of a miracle that they were able to do it for as long as they were. But, yeah, they're sent to this woman's house, and she's very, very scared about literally everything. So, yeah, why is she like that? Because her husband died? I really don't know. Is this explained better in the books? I feel like it probably is. I don't know. But, seriously, is that why she's afraid? I really didn't get it, but yeah, pretty much she falls for Count Olaf in disguise again. Because, yeah, he gets in disguises a lot. And pretty much she is thought dead after a little bit, and also having Count Olaf say to her that he's Count Olaf. Because apparently she is actually a smart woman, but, you know, I mean, again, he's in disguise, and only the kids can recognize them. But no one believes him again because they're kids. They already did this twice. At this point, someone should at least, maybe look into questioning their words on this. But no one does! Why are these people idiots? That really annoyed me. But, yeah, pretty much their aunt is thought dead. But they figure out that she might not be because she made grammatical errors in her suicide note. And she loves grammar. Therefore, she couldn't have left the world with grammatical errors. So they figure out that this is actually some very secret code. And eventually, they actually find out where she is. So she's in this cave and there's a hurricane coming. So they decide, take a little boat out and try and find this mysterious cave that she's in. And they do. Because somehow they survive a hurricane on the ocean. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine as to how they did that. So, oh wait, no, I'm sorry. They did it because they saw a lighthouse. They're the best, apparently. So, yeah, they find their aunt, and she's still scared to actually, try and say, hey, Count Olaf is here. Arrest him. She's truly terrified of things. So, eventually they convince her to at least leave the cave, but there's something awful going on. She just ate. And they're like these weird, evil, I don't know, like leeches in the water that if they smell food until it's been an hour of digestion, then they'll come and brutally murder you. Really don't get that. Don't know when that species came into an existence, but yeah, apparently it did at one point. I don't know. So eventually Count Olaf kills her that way, but at least she got killed the same way as her husband, so that's nice. And eventually it is revealed to the moron banker again that this is Count Olaf in disguise. Get him! But of course, he turns around for a while and they get away. So, yeah, after that, the kids realize, maybe we should just take this matter into our own hands. Because clearly the people in this world are morons. Seriously, the adults here, do they even have brain cells? Do we even notice normal things that people would normally notice? It's so obvious. But apparently they really never notice because their makeup is so good. So, yeah, the orphans run away to an old mill, which they think has some relation to their parents. And it kinda does, with a pretty insignificant truth that they saved people from a fire. Just spoiled that dramatic twist for ya. But they get here, and there's hypnotism and a-holes running the place. So, yeah, minor things like that commonly go on at mills. And, yeah, they eventually put an end to all this, and Count Olaf gets away again, but the banker finds them again, and now they don't really have any suitable guardians to go live with anymore, so they're kind of sent to the school with some kids who have, oddly enough, suffered the exact same thing they've been going through. Somehow. So, yeah, that's pretty much where the series ends, and like I said before, I just think that the show's just okay. Now, there are definitely a good chunk of things that I did enjoy in it. Like, for one, the music that's in it. Now, the intro I absolutely loved and really got my hopes pretty high for the show, which might have kind of been a bad thing because I did get my hopes a little bit too high for it, because the intro is really, really good and by far my favorite part of the whole entire show. In fact, I rewound it a few times. And also, the cinematography in the show is really good. I also like the style of how everything looks. It's very, very stylized, and I really do enjoy it. And also Patrick Warburton. Yeah, I know the character has a name, I just sort of forgot it, and yeah, to me, I was just calling him Patrick Warburton during the whole thing. And this is an actor that I really do love. And he's been in quite a few things, really. He's been Hoodwinked, the Emperor's New Groove, and also Venture Bros. So yeah, he's a pretty well-known actor, and I honestly really do like him here. He's by far one of my favorite characters in this, and I feel like there's a lot of story that was put into him that is just sort of hinted at, but I really do like him. And so yeah, those are pretty much my favorite parts of this show, but there definitely were more negatives just for me personally. Now, again, I know a lot of people enjoyed this show, and I can definitely see why. There are things that are really enjoyable in it, but I don't know. For me, I just really couldn't get into it as much. They just seem to be trying so hard to make it like it should be depressing that it never really felt that way to me. I know I should have felt depressed while watching it, which is a weird thing to say, but yeah, that's kind of what they're going for. But I never really did. I just felt like they were trying really hard to make it like that, and then Count Olaf showed up, and he's like a Saturday morning cartoon villain. Seriously, that's probably the best way I can describe him, is just as a Saturday morning cartoon villain, as that's really what he seems to be. Although, I will say, in the very last song in the show, it actually does seem to hint that there is a bit more of a depression side to him, which, honestly, I feel like if that were to be explored a bit more, then that would actually make him a much more interesting character. But for the way he is right now, I just sort of think that he's alright. I mean, you can definitely see that Neil Patrick Harris put a lot of effort into trying to make this a very fun character, and it does really show. And he actually does kind of act like Jim Carrey a little bit, which is kind of funny, seeing as he also played Count Olaf in the cinematic version of this book. Seriously, how did I never know this thing existed if there's a book, movie, and now a TV show? How did I never know about this thing until now? Like, just feels like one of those things I should have known existed up until this point. But, yeah, I really just couldn't get into what was going on with Count Olaf. They kept on saying that he's a terrifying, awful man who does terrible things like dresses up. Ooh! Awful! Like, there were just so many moments like that where they kept on saying that he's terrifying and you should be just shaking in your chair as you're watching this, and I never was. I just sort of saw a Saturday morning cartoon villain. And I feel like that's what they were going for, too. So, yeah, I mean, I can see what they were doing. It's supposed to be ironic, but it just seems like they were trying to enforce this joke a lot with really never addressing that he is just pretty much a Saturday morning cartoon villain. So, then we have the Baudelaires. Now, I'm kind of mixed on them. On the one hand, we have Violet, who, really, I think that she's probably the worst out of all of them to me. I mean, the actress is just really, really bad, I think. Mainly during the very last song. I mean, you can definitely see that she's alright and really trying, but God, does this kid look dead-eyed sometimes, like, especially in the last song of the show. She's just, like, looking blankly into the camera. It just looks like they took a still image of her with her mouth moving sometimes. I mean, no fault on her, and I'm sure that she really does try. It's just, man. Wow. But I will say that she is definitely pretty likable at times, and I do like her. It's just that her acting could use quite a bit of improvement. Now, I do know that she is a kid, so yeah, kid actors aren't always the best, so I will give her some leeway on that. I just think that, God, there were some times that it was just really bad, and sometimes I just couldn't even excuse her. And then we have Klaus, who was by far my favorite out of the Baudelaires. He's more of the bookish one. Oh, and by the way, Violet was kind of an inventor, so that was cool. But Klaus is pretty much a very, very book-centered person, and yeah, that was cool. I like books, so that's cool. I don't know what else to say about that. But he's a very smart character within the show, and I do really like him. He was one of my favorite characters in it, outside of Patrick Warburton, and maybe Neil Patrick Harris. So, yeah, he actually does really good in this, and seeing as this is only his second project that he's been in, yeah, I actually did look it up, because I actually kind of recognized, because he actually kind of looked pretty similar to another guy that I've seen, so I wanted to see if it was him, only to find out that actor's now, like, 18, and this actor's only been in 2 things, one of them being a series of unfortunate events. So, for not having that much experience, he did really good at this. Now, I didn't really look into how much experience the person who played Violet has, but pretty sure it's about the same. Or maybe she's done more, I don't know. And you definitely see, though, that is what was required of the character for Violet. It just really felt kind of weird to me. I know I was kind of harsh to her, but seriously, that blank stare at the very end of the show, it just, wow. Just things like that just kept on showing up. And then we have Sunny. It bites things. That is the joke. Isn't that hilarious? A baby that bites things. But then again, it can make a pretty rough rock into a very, very smooth disc. So that's pretty amazing. So, yeah, it just commonly does stuff like that. Because it's a normal baby that way. Though then again, I guess none of the Baudelaires are really that normal, so. But yeah, I think that Sunny's alright. Although the CGI on her, God, just wow. I mean, it's just weird. It's really weird CGI, as sometimes it looks alright, but other times, God, it just looks awful other times. So, yeah, I'm really mixed on the CGI on that, but at least they don't use CGI all too often. I mean, I don't know how the sets were. I mean, they could have green screened those. I haven't really looked into bonus feature stuff on this, but the sets do at least look like they were really there. So, yeah, that was really cool. These are very extravagant sets and everything, so I really did like them. But man, you can see why they mainly went with practical stuff. Or at least I think that Count Olaf was practical effects. I mean, I'm pretty sure on that, given how Sunny looks with CGI. It's just like, there are some things like that it just really seems like they could have done this in such a better way, but then you see just really, really weird things like Sunny, and it's just like, there are a lot of really mixed things on the effects in this show. But overall, I thought this show was alright. Now, like I said, I couldn't get into it as much as other people. I feel like they were very, very much trying to address the fact that you're supposed to be depressed, but you really aren't. So, yeah, there's that. And that was very, very, very emphasized to me. And was probably my biggest problem with this, that they were trying to go for a feeling that they really just didn't have. But overall, I thought that it was an alright show. Like I said, there are very good things in it. Like, the songs are very good. Well, the intro I still love. And the very last song, the overall feel they are trying to go for, and when it does come through, I do like. There's a twist at the end, which I really loved, but I'm not giving away. Let's just say it has something to do with a very fancy door. So yeah, I'm not trying to give it away here, but I am trying to give you at least a hint about what the twist I am talking about is. So Yeah, that twist was really good, and I honestly did not see it coming at all, so I don't want to give that one away. That was one of my favorite parts in this show. And also, it does seem like season 2 could be pretty interesting, as they seem to be leaning more towards a sort of overall mystery going on with it, which I feel like if that's given more of a focus, then it could also be much more interesting. But the cinematography, the intro, and Patrick Warburton, and the overall hints at mystery here, I really do feel like those parts, if they're focused on more, or at least if more parts are up to that degree, then I feel like I could really get into the show more. But I know there are a lot of people who really did love the show, and I'm honestly glad for you guys. I just really couldn't get into it, and I really don't know why. Usually I'm into things that would have more of a depressing feel to them, like Kubo. Parents die in that on screen, and I loved that. So why couldn't I get into this exactly? You might have a pretty twisted mindset there, but yeah, overall, I did think that the show is okay, and I definitely do recommend watching it, as there are a lot of really good things, and a lot of people did get into the show. It's just that, personally, for me, I just really couldn't. Now, I don't know if that's just because I haven't read the books, or... I mean, like, I'm sure there are people who haven't read the books and liked the show fine, but really, for me, I just couldn't get into it as much as everyone else could, but it is still a pretty fun show, and I do still recommend watching it. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Bye.